Hey, welcome to Sports Unfolded NBA Ranking Show. I am your host, Eric, big dog in the house. Kenny, how are you?
Two thumbs up. Two thumbs up.
Two thumbs up. We are ready. We want to talk some NBA rankings. Our rankings came out on Monday. Monday. So obviously we've got few changes, but we'll bring up what we had and what we released on Monday. And that was Cleveland coming in at 5, kicking the Knicks out. Denver at 4, Boston at 3, Milwaukee at 2, and the Philadelphia 76ers, the new number 1 team. And then you basically cursed them into a loss. So great job there.
Yeah, yeah, thank you.
It's
Yeah,
just
thank
something
you.
you do. You
Yeah,
put the
something I
number
do.
1 team, they lose every time.
Yeah, exactly.
Every single time. Every
Yep.
single time. So it's pretty funny. But we are going to talk about all 5 teams and just some basketball in general. Let's have some fun with this. We will bring these rankings back up later on. But I will say that at number 5, the Cleveland Cavaliers, 46-28 currently on the season, 7-3 in their last 10, fourth in the East, 6.5 games back. Kenny, they haven't clinched yet. Out of all these, the other 4 teams have clinched. How important is it for the Cleveland Cavaliers to continue this winning ways here late in the season?
Oh, it's very important. We got 150 games in 18 days. Can you believe that?
Wow.
150 games in 18 days, and there's no games on April 3rd. I don't know why.
Oh,
I
that's
just
my
put that
birthday.
out
Maybe
there.
they took it off.
No, check it
That's
out.
what it
Yeah,
was.
yeah,
That's what it was.
yeah.
It's my birthday. They said, you know what? It's a very special day on Sports Unfolded. We don't want to. We don't want to.
Yeah.
Interrupt that. I gotcha. I gotcha. Cleveland, legitimate team here. 4 teams in the East on this list. They are basically the 4th best team currently in the East, 4th best team on this list. Is that accurate? Do you think Donovan Mitchell can elevate them into a higher seed on this list before the season ends?
Yeah, but they're struggling on defense. But offense, they're amazing. Offense, they're amazing. I don't know if you know this, but Donovan has scored 9 40+ games. Nine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Listen,
And,
he came over
and,
from Utah. We said it.
and 3 of them against the Boston Celtics.
Yeah,
So
that makes sense.
yeah, I
What's
mean,
that tell you about Boston's
yeah,
defense?
yeah, exactly,
Yeah.
exactly, right, exactly, right.
So I'll say this about Cleveland as well, though, right? Exciting team, young team. I think that Donovan Mitchell trade has been such a blessing for them. But would you consider them a contender in the East? Are they still that team that you'd look at and they're looking at the outside looking in?
Yeah, they're an outside looking in. They'll make the playoffs, but I don't think they'll go too far. I don't think they'll go too far. Like I said, the defense is subpar. They can score. They're quick. They're young. They can run the floor, but their defense is suspect.
Yeah. So I'm gonna just see right now if the season were to end today,
Mm-hmm.
4-5 matchup would be Cleveland, New York,
Yep. Oh,
and they're three and a
so,
half games ahead of New York. So there's a
yeah,
good chance there that they actually stay in that 4th spot. So
yeah,
I mean, the Knicks tough. That'd be a tough out. That would be a
yeah,
tough out. The
yeah.
Knicks are not a pushover. John Randall playing some great basketball,
Ooh,
but
yes, he is. 57 points the other
right,
day.
the other night. So it's going to be interesting to see how they can continue. They are still one of the top defensive teams, even though you say they're struggling and only giving up 106.6 points per game. So definitely one of those teams that we look at. The key for them is the win loss at home versus on the road. They are very good at home, only 8 losses all season. On the other hand, they're below 500 on the road. So having that 4th seed in the East could be beneficial to them, at least to get out of the first round.
Yeah, yeah. A little home cooking.
Yeah, right. Seems to make a difference for them, but we'll have to see how Cleveland continues their winning ways. So 7-3 in their last 10. So they are 70% or better. On the end of the season here. But Denver, here's a team that 48-24, only Western team on this list. 5-5 in their last 10, so only 500. They are first in the West, 3.5 games ahead of Memphis, and have clinched a playoff berth. Kenny, the Nuggets. Nobody seems to believe that they're the best team in the West. They've been basically the entire season. Will it continue? Will they be the best team in the West? Will they represent the Western Conference in the finals?
Oh yeah, no doubt about it. They got a former MVP. They got young kids, but they're struggling on defense. Thomas Bryant was a great pickup. I don't know what the Lakers was thinking because they didn't want anybody else with a name Bryant on it. But what can you do? Huh? What can you do?
Yeah, no. Look, they're a very deep team. We've talked about it so many times how deep this team is, how they are definitely one of the teams that you've got to compete in so many different aspects because you got Jokic, who honestly is that unicorn. He's that guy that you can't really account for because he can do so many things well. He's a walking triple double. They're not flashy, but they have enough talent across the board to cause some problems. The West has been an interesting ride because if you're looking just from the conference standpoint, Kenny, I mean, right now the Lakers are battling for that 10th spot. Utah's 12.5, but it's so wide open that who knows who's going to get in on the West. I mean, Memphis still hasn't clinched. Sacramento dropped to third this week, a game and a half behind Memphis.
Yeah.
Phoenix 9.5. That Kevin Durant situation has definitely caused them to have some issues. Russell Westbrook and that curse with the Clippers. So, it just doesn't seem that any team he goes to, they seem to lose. I agree with you. I mean, there's not a lot of teams as solid as Denver, but playing 500 ball in their last 10, Kenny, what is that a sign of? Is that a sign of fatigue? Is that a sign of just boredom? What would you say that is causing that?
It's a sign of fatigue. It's a sign of fatigue. Their benches have to come unglued. Their bench has to come alive. They just not doing it when Jokic is on the floor, on the bench. Their bench is subpar right now. Their bench used to be so great, and they're struggling on defense.
Yeah, listen, the problem is nobody in the West really wants to take hold of it. So
yeah, true.
I think they have enough talent just to get through the West, but I mean the East is very deep, very deep.
And the different Nuggets need to win on Sunday against the Nets. If they don't win against the Nets on Sunday, there's a problem. It's going to be a problem.
Yeah. Agreed. So let's talk about our local team, our hometown team here, the Boston Celtics. They have 50-23 on the season, 5-5 in their last 10. So again, 500 ball there. Second overall in the East. They have clinched a playoff spot. They are 2 games behind the Milwaukee Bucks for the number 1 seed in the East. Kenny, a lot to talk about with the Boston Celtics. But first and foremost, the Jaylen Brown situation. How much is this causing this team to struggle now late in the season as this, I guess, some animosity between him, the team, the feelings that he belongs there? Do you think it's going to ultimately affect them in the playoffs and possibly cause them not to make the finals?
No. Let's just brush it under the rug and get going. There's one main objective, and that's to win the championship. But yet they've been struggling on offense. They can't even buy a basket. The only person that's shooting great is Al Horford, and he's shooting 77%. If you could believe it.
But this is where I'm saying, like, how do you look at it? Jason Tatum's struggling, and it's been pretty consistent since the All-Stars break, right? Like, you haven't seen him be as consistent. Jaylen Brown's a little upset. Grant Williams a little upset, right? They still got the injuries to, Rob Williams, and that factors into this whole thing. That's what I'm saying, Kenny. I don't know if the Boston Celtics can get out of this rut based on the fact that Joe Mazzulla is one of those coaches that I still don't believe that the team respects.
Yeah, he's still got a long way to go. Jason Tatum scored 34 points yesterday. Rob Williams should be back the next game, but still, they just have to bear down, play these 18 days, and let's see where seeding goes. So if we can get home court, we can make a run.
So let me ask you this.
Mhm.
Season ends. What do you do with Jaylen Brown, in your opinion?
We keep him. Try to go for the repeat. It's the core that you need. You know what I'm saying?
You're already calling a repeat. Look at him. He already called the championship. Look at him. He said, we go for the repeat. Is that some inside information, Kenny? Is that the Sports Unfolded exclusive that we needed tonight? We have breaking.
Wait, hold on. I should take that back. I won't curse him. Never mind.
Yeah. Every time you put them, you're right. Every time you put them in first place again on this list, they dropped.
Exactly. Let me take that back.
I think, honestly, as I start to look at the whole situation, he hasn't been happy for quite some time.
Right.
I don't think he believes he's a number two. I believe he in his mind thinks he's the best player on the team, regardless of what Jason Tatum does. And I think that's ultimately going to affect that relationship. I think it's ultimately going to affect the fact that he may resent the fact that the Boston Celtics will choose Jason Tatum over him in any situation. That would you not explore getting rid of him, at least in getting something of some value back, before he just walks away next season with nothing to show for it?
No, I wouldn't get rid of him. I wouldn't get rid of him because he's going through growing pains. After the finals, he was, on the red carpet dancing with Diddy's son and, trying to model this, that, and other. And they pulled him aside and said, hey, we got one mission. We was almost there last year, but the Golden State Warriors were too tough and we should have won, but we didn't. So let's focus up, take care of business, and go win this championship.
I hope you're correct, because I think the two of them, honestly, are one of the best dynamic duos in the league, where they can do so much. But I just feel like sometimes you get strained relationships. How much of a factor is Ime Udoka in his relationship with those players? I know there's been reports that Jason Tatum still talks to him regularly. So again, that to me kind of undermines the coaching situation. And I think that ultimately Joe Mazzulla's voice is not heard in that locker room. And maybe that's some of the struggles as well, because he can't pull these guys back together.
Yeah, true.
I hope you're right. You're on the more glass half full side. I'm definitely on more half empty. I think this team, honestly, and this will be my bold prediction, Kenny, because you've already said they're repeating. But no pressure. But what I will say is this: I believe they blow this thing up after they fail in the playoffs this season. I truly think that the Boston Celtics don't make it past maybe the second round. And ultimately it ends up costing them, where they decide to make some changes. But we will see.
As long as they don't get rid of Marcus Smart. Can I send a shout out to my brother, Keith Schofield? Keith Schofield. Keith Schofield, you were right. Marcus Smart is a legit point guard. I apologize. Marcus Smart is a legit point guard. I apologize.
All right. I love it. Little shout out there. So let's move on to the Milwaukee Bucks. They're second on this list, 51-20 overall, 7-3 in their last 10. They are first in the East right now. Again, two games ahead of Boston. They have clinched a playoff spot as well. Listen, they know how to win. Which team poses the biggest threat to the Milwaukee Bucks in getting back to the finals?
Celtics.
How do you contend with Giannis in your eyes?
You don't. You just have to take the bulls by the horn, and you just have to wear him down.
So that's my point. Does Boston have enough?
He is unstoppable. He can score. He is the only person that can score anytime he wants. The only player that can score anytime he wants.
I agree with you. And the problem is then again, Rob Williams, who knows what kind of player and shape he's going to be in. You're getting later in the season. There's still going to be questions of how hard he can play. Drew Holiday has played great basketball all year for them. Lopez, very good basketball, skills from a defensive standpoint, as well as putting some offensive points on the board.
Yeah.
They are to me one of the deepest teams in the East. If I'm going with that deepest team in the West with Denver, I would say the Milwaukee Bucks are the deepest team in the East because they're getting it from, not only their backup point guard, their backup shooting guard, Grayson Allen. Like they're getting it from guys that normally weren't producing. You got Chris Middleton, who's not 100% or still to this point, and his contributing. So I seem to think they're the favorite in the East at this point, Kenny.
Yeah, they might be. I mean, Giannis and Lopez, they're 21-1 when they play together. 21-1. So they got chemistry. I'm telling you right now, Giannis he's that man. He is that man. Well, one.
Yeah, honestly, look, we talked about it. He is the most dominant player in the league today.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Without a doubt. It's just interesting to see that. Again, best record in the NBA. They have stayed pretty consistent throughout the season where every time we were kind of questioning the injury bug or Chris Middleton and his health and how he would be able to come back. And some of these got Drew Holiday, who's never been that guy that's been consistent throughout a season. Mm-hmm. It's all clicking right now. And last season, I think it left a sour taste in their mouth when they didn't have Chris Middleton. And it ended up costing them that game against Boston, Game 7. That was a game where, again, if Chris Middleton's there, they may beat Boston. Boston may not have gotten to the finals.
Yeah, true.
So I think that's how they're looking at it. I think Milwaukee has definitely said, look, this is our season. I think Giannis is still hungry to get another one. I know that elevates him on, in the NBA greats.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no doubt.
So I'd say be careful with Milwaukee. Be careful, Kenny, what you're saying. Mm-hmm. But very interesting team at number 1. How did you get to this point, Kenny? The Philadelphia 76ers, 48-23, third in the East overall. They are 8-10 in their last 8-2 in their last 10. They have also clinched a playoff spot. They are 3 games behind Milwaukee for the 1 seed. They got hot at the right time, right? 8 straight wins before they lost their last game.
Yep.
The jinx of Kenny has continued. But have we finally seen the turnaround from the 76ers? Joel Embiid, and a massive favorite now to win the MVP. Could this be the season that we see Philadelphia finally break through, get to the finals, based on the fact that maybe they figured it out now?
Yeah, most definitely. I've been preaching Jason Tatum all year long, MVP. But let me put some respect on his name, okay? Joel Hans Embiid will win the MVP, okay? All right. Joel Hans Embiid will win the MVP. Okay. Let me read you these stats. Against Indiana, he scored 42 points. He shot 16 shots. Harden had 20 assists, 1 turnover, 67% from the paint, 47% from 3. They were 35 and 38 from downtown. At the line, they were 92%. Hey, kids, practice your free throws. It's very important. Free throws win games.
It matters. So if I was to say, look, ahead of Boston, ahead of Milwaukee, Philadelphia, yes, on this list, but in your mind, are they the best team in the East?
Oh, yeah. They're the best team in the East. They're the best team. Joel Embiid and James Harden, they're going to make history because we have a scoring title and the assist leader. And we haven't had that in 20 something years, 30 something years. The last person who do it was George the Iceman Gervin and Johnny Moore.
Wow. So look, we said it all along. You get a motivated James Harden. And listen, he had a triple double the other night, and here we go, right? And now you got Embiid, who's playing at an MVP level. This is a scary team because this is what we expected them to be. This is what we expected them to be, Kenny. One of the top teams in the league, one of the most dynamic teams where you've got the best big man in the game today, alongside Jokic. Like, you could literally make an argument for both of these guys if you said who's the best big man in the league today. Joel Embiid, it's a tough argument not to say that he's as good as Jokic is, because Jokic can do some other things with the assists, but Joel Embiid could do a lot more scoring.
Yes.
He can score.
Yes.
And Jokic doesn't have that same capability to take over a game and score 40-plus points, like you said, and dominate that way in the paint. Whereas Joel Embiid, you can give him the rock, 20 times, and he's going to shoot that 70%. He's going to get you 40 points and be that dominant player. So I agree with you. Look, I think Philadelphia, if they can stay motivated enough in the playoffs, regardless of the seedings. But again, Boston to me is in a very bad situation because you're very close to dropping a 3.
Yep.
Right. And regardless of what we want to look at, the 3-6 matchup right now would be the Brooklyn Nets. And as much as we doubt the Brooklyn Nets in their capabilities of beating Boston, they can be one of those teams where, again, they don't have a star. They don't have a player that you really focus on. So there's a lot of guys that can do a lot of different things. Philadelphia moves into the second spot. I think that's bad news for Boston. I think that's great news for Philadelphia. And that's what I think the Sixers are looking at. They're not looking at passing Milwaukee right now. I don't know if they've got enough. But to your point, a lot of games to play in 18 days. If Philadelphia can move ahead and even maybe claim that 1 seed, I think they win the East.
Yeah.
If Milwaukee holds on to the 1, I think Milwaukee gets it. I truly think Boston's in a seriously nosedive right now that I don't know if they can get out of. So I like the fact that Philadelphia moved to the 1 spot. I thought that was very bold on your part that you decided to go Philadelphia.
Hey, when Joel Embiid hits 10 consecutive 30-plus points games, 10 consecutive, and the last person who did it 21 years ago was Shaquille O'Neal.
Right? One of the most dominant players in the league.
Yes.
Ever.
Yes, ever.
So he's doing things that some of the greatest players in the history of the game are doing.
Yeah.
So I agree with you, Kenny. I thought this was a great decision to put Philly at the time, again, 8 straight. Yes, this was Monday's list, and they have lost since, but the path they were taking and the road they were on, I could very easily see why you did what you did. So let's bring that list up one more time and just take a quick peek. Again, you had the Cleveland Cavaliers at 5, Denver Nuggets at 4, the Boston Celtics at 3, the Milwaukee Bucks at 2, Philadelphia 76ers claiming the number 1 spot this week. Kenny, who's got to be worried about not being on this list next week?
Cleveland.
So is it another East team, or is it a team that maybe the Memphis Grizzlies, now that they have Ja Morant back, figure it out and become that 5th team, or maybe even a Sacramento Kings based off if they have a good week this week?
Hey, Sacramento Kings got an easy schedule this week. They got a real easy schedule this week. So I'm going. They should have been on this list, but they dropped the ball. So maybe they got an easy schedule coming up.
All right, let's see if you're right. I've been preaching Sacramento all year long, so I think this might be the week. Yep. So this has been the Sports Unfolded NBA ranking show. We normally do our regularly scheduled programming every Friday night at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, live on Rhode Island Broadcasting. We are Fan Interactive. We're on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter. Check that out with my other co-host, Ron. Kenny is my basketball guy. He makes sure that we get all the basketball insight that we possibly can. And this list is just a great example of that. I'm excited to see how these playoffs turn out, Kenny. I know you'll be watching the next 18 games,
yes.
150 games, and seeing who moves where.
Yes.
I will ask you this one question before we end the show. Do the Lakers make the playoffs?
No.
You think they just can't? They were in and now they're out.
Yeah. In, out.
Does it factor on if LeBron James returns this season? Because there's been some question now. You think he's done?
Yeah, he's done.
All right.
He'll go somewhere else and wait for Bron.
You think he's done with the Lakers altogether too?
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You some predictions today.
Because there's no way that the Lakers are going to sign Bronny Jr. So he's coming right around the corner.
Okay. I like it. I like what we're saying here. So if you enjoy basketball, check us out. We do these shows every week. Kenny, every Monday, the list is released. So comment, share them, and let us know, hey, did he get it right? So I will see you next week. I can't wait for Monday's list. I can't wait to see the Sacramento Kings on there. That'll be a fun one.
I hope so.
And I hope you enjoy this weekend and some basketball, my friend.
Oh, I will.
All right. Check us out Friday, 6 p.m., Rhode Island Broadcasting. And all we ever ask for every single week is peace on earth.
Peace.